Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Mirade.
And I'm John Cena Sr.
Johnny, the fans just haven't asked for it, they have demanded it.
This August, we're headed back to Tampa for Wrestle House 2.
WrestleMania weekend, we brought you Sinister Minister James Mitchell, TJP, Demolition Smash, Al Snow, Dutch Mantel Zeb Coulter, JTG of Primetime, and WWE Hall of Famer Gerald Briscoe for in-depth interviews and live interactive cyber autograph signings.
And if you want our Wednesday Night Wrestling Insider Special edition episodes to continue, we need your help to bring these superstars' careers and lives to life.
Bringing you free content 7 days each week is an expensive proposition between appearance fees, air travel, renting the house, the equipment, and everything that goes in to a week of shooting. We can't do it without you.
As we prepare to return to producing live in-ring events, help us bring you the superstars and legends of yesterday and tomorrow by visiting Indiegogo now and check out some of the great rewards.
Wrestling fans, it's going to be a wild week in Tampa the first week in August. Get ready for Wrestle House 2.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
All right, wrestling fans around the corner, around the world. Another video I certainly was not planning on making here on July 4th weekend. Even though it's about 60 degrees here in Boston, I'm a little heated up because I'm getting the texts. Not even worth naming, but there is this talk show, I believe it's in New York, that for whatever reason tries to latch on to things that go on this talk show. I mean, I can't imagine the lack of creativity that goes into that, where, with everything that goes on in wrestling, that they have to try and create programming around what goes on here in this studio. But I'm a little irked just based upon the description of the video on how we went out of our way to take advantage of Marty. So I actually watched it, and it sucked. But you know what? I just want to stress before this even begins. This is not a Marty Jannetty hit piece. Marty and I have had 95% positive conversations almost daily since he got his phone back, since he went back home from his last visit here. So I want to stress that. Marty Jannetty is my friend. I care about Marty Jannetty. Marty knows I've gone to great lengths to try to open some doors for him to try and get help that he doesn't believe he needs right now. And Marty is an adult, capable of making adult decisions. But keep that in mind. They are his decisions, his chosen actions at the end of the day, for better or for worse. But as far as that man goes, I want him around as much as we can have him around. Were there issues with the studio after what happened with that live watch-along? Yes. Were there issues with the studio as far as the condition he showed up in? Yes. Were there issues with the studio with the way he showed up for a day in February? Yes. Are there issues with Chairman Mulligan as far as him appearing at live events that I'd like him to be at? Yes. So it's unfortunate all around, but at the end of the day, when it comes to the talk shows, those are my babies. As far as the live wrestling goes, the whole situation has been complex now for about 10 years. I may have co-founded MWF along with Neil Mulligan, but like I said, I'd have to write a book to explain what's going on since mid-2009-ish. But anyway, that's not what this is about. So I get a text message to say, oh, you got to check this out, Mirade. And I'm just the type, I really don't care because I have so much of my own work to do. But they said, you know what, look at the title. And I saw the title, and it pissed me off. So I said, you know what, watch this one. Watch this one. And I sent it to a couple of other people that really didn't like it either. So it just, to me, it seems like this is a talk show trying to milk the situation with Marty for their own benefit, like they did with Tony. That failed miserably as well, because I think, I smartened Tony up enough to know that he was going to be absolutely buried if he said certain things. But, it created some clickbait, about how we're these quote-unquote awful people that took advantage of Marty Jannetty when he was here last month. So let's go along with what Marty said in this edited version of what they put out, keep in mind. It was funny. I saw some of the regular Boston wrestling fans' names scrolling on the screen. So I guess that there's fans of both shows, and that's fine. You know what? If you enjoy it, you enjoy it. But Marty Jannetty stated he may have overdone his workouts at the hotel gym when he was here in Boston, and he likely did, causing him even more pain than he was already in. If you notice during the episodes that are going to air over the next few months, he fidgets with the boot that he was given due to the surgery that he had, and he eventually took it off, which I don't think was a great thing. I'm not his doctor. I don't know if it was okay for him to do so, but to me, as someone that has had the problems I've had, it doesn't seem like a great idea that he took it off. He also probably shouldn't be working out. But again, you know what? Marty is an alpha male. He's an athlete. I can understand his drive and motivation to want to get better ASAP so he can have a full and active life again. He's going stir crazy. I remember after the accident I was in, I laid in bed for almost a year staring at the wall outside of the one day a week I would come down to the studio at that point. So I get it. I get where Marty's coming from. But again, it just seems like these people who I don't know were trying to take advantage of the situation. After the Saturday night taping we had with Marty, which was June 19th, Marty stated on this interview, and I didn't even know this, he had a female come to his room with fill in the blank. Then Marty said he remembered absolutely nothing from Saturday night until he arrived at the studio around, I'm going to say 1 p.m. on Sunday, June the 20th. He remembered nothing at that point. Then he continued to claim in his mind, and to be fair to him, he said he might remember it wrong, but he said, I tried to block him from coming into the studio. Nothing can be further from the truth. Now, do I believe that Marty maybe in his mind thinks that happens? I do, because he's spoken in the past on the show about how he's had hallucinations in the past. The desk that I sit at is a good 50 feet away from the door. It would have been impossible for me to block him from coming in. The studio help that was here was aghast at the condition he showed up in, which we documented before. And, as we spent hours trying to sober him up, they wound up leaving to enjoy Father's Day as myself and one of our great Patreon family members tried to sober him up. Proof in point in how I didn't block the door. And even though I'm not going to air it, but before we just shut things down for 4 hours to try and sober him up, Marty and I taped a WrestleMania 5 Rockers and Twin Towers watch-along that was horrible. He could barely speak. It was so bad I wouldn't even consider airing it in the state Marty was in, and that is, quote-unquote, unable to perform, as we say in wrestling. I didn't want to embarrass him. I didn't want to humiliate him. He was hurt by some of the episodes that aired from February, again, that he chose to show up in that condition for as an adult. I have no control over that, but I understand his need to try and mask the pain. With my CRPS, I'm in pain 24/7 most days too. I get it. I sympathize with it. I empathize with it. But at the same time, we had a day like this in February that was a colossal waste of time and money. And the same could be said for June the 20th. It was a waste of time and money. I swear to God on the kids' lives, strike them dead if I am lying, I never, ever blocked Marty Jannetty from entering or leaving any door on June 20th or any day I've ever known him. The door was never locked. There are studio staff members here that can attest to that before they went home for the day. After trying to feed him and give him coffee to sober him up, our super fan, who I don't want to name, as he's a great person. I don't want to get him involved in this mess. He offered to take Marty for a little ride, get him some fresh air and so on. I thought it was a great idea if it would help. Again, the door was never locked. I never prevented him from coming in. As noted, when he's here, we need to tape as much content as possible due to the expense of having him in and the lack of time we had that day. I wanted him in the studio, not out of the studio. You know, Marty, in his state of mind, whatever, he thought I didn't want to pay him for whatever reason. As you can easily have seen if you watched that disaster of a live episode, when Marty made that comment, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I literally exploded. I left the studio. I came into the room here where I kept his pay safe, already in an envelope, and came back and threw it at him like a ninja star. I was so pissed off and insulted. In nearly 20 years of doing this, never once have I showed it any talent, one penny agreed upon when setting the booking up. Marty went on then on this talk show about how he didn't remember anything after the girl came to his room on the Saturday night. God only knows what this woman brought to the room with her if he can't remember 16 hours of his life. Marty then said he was unsure if he was even sent back to the hotel on Sunday afternoon, June the 20th. Let me tell you, he was not sent back to the hotel on June the 20th. We spent a great deal of time, again, trying to sober him up here in the studio. He went for a ride with our superfan that he called Eric Clapton. If they went back to the hotel, I know nothing about it, but it was nothing I requested nor wanted. I wanted him to sober up and come back into the studio so we could produce content for you guys. Marty then said in the interview that he drank and took pain pills before the live Hell in the Cell watch-along, which explains him vanishing before we went live, as I was panicking as he lost his phone and he was gone. I had no way to reach out to him. I had no idea where he was, and that's what he was doing. Marty then again went on to say that the girl he was with on the set, I lost my notes right here. The girl the girl said that Marty kept calling her the wrong name on Saturday night, which should show the state of mind he was in if he couldn't even remember her name. One of the hosts asked why I kept pushing him if his pain threshold was going into overdrive. Marty did note that he had a rough spot on the Saturday, and we took as many breaks as needed, as we do anytime Marty is here. If he needs to take a break, I'm very happy to do so. So again, this man wasn't here live, this host. He's only taken Marty's version of the story, which is fine. But again, I understand Marty's pain. I resonate with it. At the same time, we're paying Marty a substantial fee, along with the airfare, the hotel, the local transportation, etc., to have him here. What are we supposed to do? Produce nothing while paying all that money out? Marty then asked them, which I was happy about, he asked these hosts why they wanted to do a hit piece on him. As I noted, this talk show reached out to me for the blocked footage of Marty from the live episode, but I'm not sharing it with anyone. I don't want anyone to see Marty in that condition. Marty doesn't want to have anyone see him in that condition. I don't know these people. All I know is that there was some shenanigans with Tony Atlas a few months ago that I was told about by some of the fans in the live premiere chats that went on that was whatever the hell it was supposed to be. But again, not happening. The other host responded he just wanted to see the footage again. That's fine, but he's not. So no one's going to see the footage. The host felt it was wrong that I told the fans about what I witnessed on Sunday night, about the disaster, that I said Marty has major problems. Well, you know what, for better or worse, and I have said this to Marty and I have said it to the world, I try to be as honest with you guys as humanly possible without slandering our friends that we care about. If Marty can't remember 2/3 of a day of his life because of whatever the girl brought him on Saturday, if he's in so much pain from surgery that he can't travel without medicating himself the way he did, then yes, he does have major problems. And I say this because I care, not because I'm trying to insult him. I want Marty to have the best life possible. He's 61 years old, and he still has a lot that he can contribute to the industry, and he still has a lot he can contribute to life. It's no secret that after I was putting out fires with angry people here above me at the studio, that I spent a great deal of time trying to open doors to get Marty the help he needs, which is a lot more than fucking Captain Podcast was trying to do in New York. Marty tried to then recap the weekend. He tried to explain the hotel shuttle situation. Again, this was edited at one point. I'm not sure where the edit took place, but the night Marty arrived, he arrived at 1 o'clock in the morning because he has to take a shuttle to get to the airport, so I try and get him on the latest flight as humanly possible. And he went to the wrong place. He says he didn't. That's fine. When I spoke to him on the phone, it sounded like he had a couple of adult beverages. And he then said, I claimed I was going to send an Uber for him. No. The hotel said once they shut down their shuttle service for the night, they would send an Uber to pick him up. They sent not one, but 2 different Ubers to go and get him. And these weren't people that were out to make Marty's life difficult. When I told the guy at the front desk who he was a wrestling fan. He popped big time. He was excited that Marty was coming to the hotel. So then after Marty was in the wrong spot for the 2 Ubers that were sent, the hotel told me to have him take a cab, and the hotel would pay for it. That ride eventually picked him up, brought him to the hotel, and all was well that night. So in this edited video that was shown, again, trying to make us look bad, Marty himself says he overdid it by working out, which he shouldn't be doing so soon after surgery. He said he had a woman show up to his hotel room with some kind of a substance that left him in such a condition that he did not remember 16 hours of his life, and he then admitted to taking pills and drinking at the studio right before we went live. And these assholes are going to put that type of a title up that he was taken advantage of on their program? Please. You know what? I could say a lot right now, but at the end of the day, I care about Marty Jannetty. I want Marty Jannetty to have the best life he can possibly have. I've stated that to Marty. I want Marty around. The fans want Marty around, but we need Marty in a condition where Marty can be Marty. So I hope these gentlemen had fun trying to get some viewers off of our work. Tip of the cap to you. So for all you great fans out there, I hope you continue to enjoy your 4th of July. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours, be well. Stay healthy. Don't be an asshole. Don't drink and drive.